Let's try out a new setup so that the dog can be in the shot for the whole thing, because I know you're not watching this for me. I'm also on the floor because my back was starting to hurt being on the couch and leaning forward, but those are my old man problems. We are doing grouping from 4-4. I'm going to do number 6 on page 181. You're going to do number 7. And August, you better not ruin this. The kids are counting on you to make these videos more interesting. Turn around, August. Hey, move. Thank you. Okay, there you go. Alrighty, so number 6, we have x cubed plus 4x squared minus x minus 4. Now, how do we know we have to group this? Well, there's 4 things here. Everything up to now was pretty much 3 things. 3 things you could factor like in Algebra 1. 2 things, you had a dots, you had a sotka, you had a dotka. Hey, people are watching. You had a sotka, you had a daka, dots, BS, PST, and this is 4, not 2, not 3. So what do? I want you to listen to the 2 questions you have to ask yourself each time. I'm going to cover that up. You are going to underline the first 2 terms, and you are going to double underline the second 2 terms. We're just going to work in the first 2 terms. First question, what do they have in common? They have an x squared in common. What do they have left over? Okay, well, if I take an x squared out of x cubed, I have an x. If I take a x squared out of 4x squared, I have a 4. We go to the next 2 terms. What do they have in common? They have a -1. What's left over? Well, when I take that -1 out of negative x, I'm just left with x. And when I take that -1 out of -4, I'm left with 4. All right, something new that I learned recently. Take another color, separate the 2 things. All right, so notice that I have a left side and I have a right side, a new left side, a new right side. What do these 2 sides have in common? X plus 4. They have an x plus 4 in common. Both sides I have in black an x plus 4. What's left over though? An x squared and a -1. When I took out the x plus 4 from this side, when I took it out, I was left with the x squared. When I took out the x plus 4 from this side, I was left with the -1. What did we do with anything that was left over in the previous step? We put it in parentheses. What am I going to do in this step? I'm going to put it in parentheses. What do they have in common? Always goes out front. Boom, boom, boom. What's left over always went in parentheses. Here, here, and here. And then you still ask yourself 3 times, what do they have in common? What's left over? What do they have in common? What's left over? And then it kind of flips, even though it's the same 2 questions. What do they have in common? And then what's left over? So we successfully grouped, except you're in Algebra 2 now, so you have to do one more thing. You got to realize this is a dots problem. So how do you factor a dots problem? If you don't factor all the way, you're not going to be right. Okay? Even though the section title is called Factoring Polynomials, it really should be Crazy Factoring and Factoring All the Way. And our final answer is x plus 4, the quantity of x plus 4 times the quantity of x plus 1 times the quantity of x minus 1. All right? Get a little closer so you can pause, write it down. Maybe I'll pause it with, no, that's just August butt. And remember, you're going to do number 7 next. We're going to do plenty of practice in class.